Welcome our compatriots who are following the press conference via the social media feeds, community radio stations, and the state broadcast of EFBC. I want to welcome you. Like I said, it's a new week, it's a new month, and we are energized to continue what we started from the beginning of this year. As we approach the end of this year, we will endeavor as much as possible to continuously update the public real-time information about the progress and the many initiatives that have been undertaken by the government of Liberia across the country. I want to welcome all of you to this edition of the MICAT press briefing. Like I said, we are expecting the arrival of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Nuetah. Minister of PI is here, is prepared to speak to the Liberian people through the various medium of broadcast the next summer year. There's always something interesting, something important about the Ministry of Information Regular Press Briefing. So at this point, I want to ask that you get attention. Please don't forget to turn your cell phones on silent to avoid distraction. So now invite to the podium the Honorable Minister of Information, the Honorable Jeremy Martin.
Okay, good afternoon to all of you and welcome to the regular press briefing. Let me officially welcome our colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture who will be speaking to you also here at the press briefing. We don't 20 minutes wasted because the press conference will start at 12. So we'll go straightly into business. I know there have been a lot of debates and counter-debate about the recent visa, US visa reciprocity. I know there are different interpretations that people got. So on our part, we're making our responsibility to keep talking about it in ways that you will understand exactly what it is. Because I guess everyone who was doing some kind of celebration did so, but they are doing so based on the way they interpret it. And part of what we want to talk about it today is the fact that the update in creating the opportunity for people to be able to get the visa for up to 36 months, which is up to 3 years, applies only to how long the visa is valid for. It does not mean that because you have a 3-year visa issued you can use it, enter the US, and stay there for 3 years. That's not what the meaning is. It also does not mean that you can use that visa to enter the United States with the privilege or opportunity to work. No. It simply means when you are issued that visa remains valid for 3 years, and because normally it's multiple entry, you can use it over and over to enter the United States of America until it expires. How long a person stays in America, the length of time you stay in America, is determined by U.S. Custom and Border Protection when you enter the country. So when you arrive at JFK or in New York or any other state in America, the Custom and Border Protection officer that will engage you is the one who will determine that even though you got a 3-year visa that you enter the country with, on this visit, you are allowed to stay here for 10 days, for 5 days, for 60 days, for 6 months. It is at that point the decision will be made, even though you are carrying a visa that is valid for 3 years. It is important for our people to understand these things because there's so much being said all around. The good thing about it is that countries as Nigeria, for example, was in a category where they used to issue visas to their citizens for up to 5 years. We had a maximum period of getting visa for just a year. That was the maximum. This adjustment means some people, based on the determination made by the counselor who was doing the interview, could get visa for 2 years. Some could get visa for 3 years. People will still get visa for 1 year. And some will still get it for as low as 3 months, which is the case in some single entry visas. All those other options are still there, but who gets what is the determination that is made at the embassy at the time you are engaged with the consular who's interviewing you, and who will make a determination as to whether you qualify to get a visa or not. What that means also, which you gotta know, is that some people will still be denied visa. Because not everybody who applies for visa and stand before the consular at the embassy is deserving of a visa. Who makes the decision? The consular at the embassy who is doing the interview at that time. We just thought to provide these clarification, and we'll continue to provide more clarification as we get them, so that we are all in line with what the expectations are. We don't want people to have expectations that don't exist, because there are some people thinking it's a free heavy now, right? So anytime you apply for a visa, you go to the embassy, they're supposed to give it to you. No, that's not what it is. That determination will always be made by the folks who are responsible for issuing the visa as to who gets it. When they deem that you're supposed to get a visa, and they say, okay, you qualify to get a visa for 3 months, single entry, they'll give you for 3 months. 6 months, they'll give you 1 year. But the point is, they can now make a decision to give somebody a visa up to 3 years. And there will be people who, when they appear at the embassy based on the determination of the consular, will be given a visa for up to 3 years. We have announced that much work, development work, will take place under the Nuetah administration. We are in the dry season. Some of the work commenced already. If you pass me around the boulevard, you know that work is ongoing with the overpass bridge. If you pass to certain strategic part of town, like if you're driving here, just the junction, right down to Bushipur, you see that they are lifting the quota and reconstructing it. We're fasting the work that is going on the rubber field, highway, all of the other construction work taking place across the country will continue. But we've announced here earlier that one of the things we intend to do is to pave the road that leads from Johnson Street straight to Old Waterside as a 4-lane road, and also to hit the road to Toppenbred. The way that that project is supposed to take place is a result of a concession agreement between the government of Liberia and Pedofon, our associate incorporated. And that concession agreement will give us money that will do up to 255 kilometers of selected primary roads. And that road that comes from Monrovia straight to Old Waterside is a part of it. So the Interministerial Committee of the government, which is under the executive, for it is the responsibility of the executive to make arrangement to negotiate concessions on behalf of the country. They did that, and the agreement was signed between the Republic of Liberia through the Interministerial Committee and PEVIFOR. Now the Liberian Senate they will hold a joint Senate section on the concession so that it can move towards ratification. And when the ratification is done, then the rest of the processes that will lead to finding the contractor to do the work and the disbursement of the funding will take place. So the Senate Joint Committee, comprising of Public Works, Concession and Investment, Transport, Ways, Means and Financing, Budget, Public Accounts, Audit and Judiciary, will hold a public hearing on the road concession agreement between the government and PEVIFOR Associate to upgrade the 255 kilometers of roads that will stretch all the way from St. Paul Bridge to Clay, to Bo Waterside, to Tottenberg, to Rabo Sports, and to cover Wenjima to Kolahun, and subsequently to Menikoma Road Corridor. The hearing will take place today, if it has not started, beginning at 3 in the chamber of the Liberian Senate, and officials of the executive, certain officials of the executive are expected to appear for that hearing. And they include the Minister of Public Works, the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Transport, Chair of the National Investment Commission, the Chairperson of the PPCC. The cost of the agreement is around 363.9 million and will be paid for through a blended cash and debt financing model. According to the agreement, the government of Liberia will contribute 145.6 million, which represents 40% of the cost of the project, while PEVIFOR will raise debt of 218.3 million, which will account for 60%. Once completed, those roads will be toll roads, meaning they will create the facilities like those of you who have traveled to advanced country. You will reach to certain places, there are toll gates you gotta pay before you cross, because that is how we will service the loan that has been taken, that will be taken, which is the 60% to do the project. And that hearing will be presided over by Senator Albert Chie, who is the chair of the Committee on Public Works. The Ministry of Health, through their Communication and Health Promotion Unit and the expanded program on immunization, along with our development partners, are engaged in a media event to boost public awareness before the National Papillomavirus HPV vaccination overall. Generally, social media influencers, health communication experts, stakeholders to align messaging with all participants. In fact, the program is expected to vaccinate over 500,000 young women between the ages of 9 to 18 to protect them from potential sexual infection. The campaign emphasizes intensified awareness, social-based vaccination at health facilities and community outreach centers, partnership with local influencers to mobilize people into vaccination. This will also help our young people to protect them from cervical cancer, which is on the rise. Young girls between the ages of 9 to 18, as I mentioned, are prone to being victims of cervical cancer. These actions are meant to ensure that they are protected, since most of them remain vulnerable to cervical cancer and other sexually transmitted diseases. Like I said, it will benefit approximately 560,000 girls nationwide, and will also protect adolescent girls and protect the future of their health. The Ministry of Health plans to continue the outreach and nationwide engagement as time goes by. The Ministry of Education is driving national transformation through the ARREST agenda for inclusive development, using education as a key bridge to Liberia's future. And so on the international front, Education Minister Dr. Jasso Malijala, who has been speaking at UNESCO General Conference, has emphasized the need for fundamental foundational learning in Liberia that includes STEM education and TVET. The ministry also initiated a strategic bilateral partnership with Uzbekistan focused on scholarships, exchange programs, STEM and youth entrepreneurship training, and global opportunities for Liberian youth. The minister advocated for Liberia to be inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. On the domestic front, the ministry launched a 32-week pilot in Montserrat County to integrate Liberian arts and heritage that include music, drama, and fine arts into public schools. The program uses 32 trained facilitators across 4 schools to foster national pride, creativity, and cultural identity. Meanwhile, the ministry has announced that the examinations and interview for applicants of local scholarship is now scheduled for November 15, 2025, in preparation of the upcoming scholarship vetting exercise. Only applicants reaching a score of 30 points and above from the exams will be allowed to sit the actual interview. The examination teams have been assigned across all counties to support over 2,300 candidates who apply for scholarship nationwide. They are grouped according to region. So Bon, Lima, Lofa, and Magidi County, Grand Gide, Riverview, Sino, and Grand Cruella, Maryland counties, Bombing, Bapolo, and Kipon, Grand Baza, and Riverset, then Montserrat and Central Office. The designated testing centers for Bon, Lima, Lofa, and Magidi, they will use the Ministry of Education model schools in those counties. In Grand Gide, Riverview, Sino, Grand Cru, and Maryland, they will use the Zwedru Multilateral High School. In Bombing, Bapolo, and Cape Horn, they will use the CHUA High School. Basso and Riverset will use Basso High School. And in Montserrat, at the central office area, they will use the Vocal Vision. The government is concerned and keen about national security, so they will continue to act to empower our security sector. It is in this vein that new vehicles have been procured for the Liberian National Police, 8 new ones for that matter. It is the understanding and thinking of the government that the provision of those vehicles will improve patrol and ensure overall efficiency and effectiveness of the Liberian National Police. The process of hiring or bringing in additional buses for the National Transit Authority is in full swing. It is important to remind you that when the Baka administration came to power, NTA had just 2 functional buses. Even though prior to the Unity Party leaving power in 2018, our institution was functional and had a good number of buses that were servicing our people. But like I said, when we came, we met there 2 buses. The MTA has been making an effort to revamp that system and make it work like it used to be before. So, 35 of the brand new buses that were procured by the NTA are already in the country. Those 35 buses are all 60-seater. They are already here. The remaining 20 are on their way. And those 20 will be 18-seater because they are meant to apply the routes into strategic communities. The big ones that are 20-seater will apply the streets, including all the county, all of Monrovia up to the county. They also procured 5 cargo trucks. The MTA realized that they don't want to just be conveying human beings. People have goods that must leave. The agriculture minister is here. Farmers are producing their goods. They need to bring them to market. So that's a market the MTA also want to take advantage of. So those cargo trucks, 5 of them brand new, will be used to be lifting goods and providing all services, while the buses that they're bringing in will convey actual human beings to different destinations. As a government, we are pleased with the management of the NTA that have been able to do something as transformational as that in less than 2 years for an entity that they met and inherited with just 2 buses. The National Food Authority Coordination Department has been hosting a stakeholder engagement on all spillage preparedness. The hosted a 1-day stakeholder engagement at the headquarters on Bushel Island. The engagement, among other things, was aimed at strengthening collaboration between the public and private sector in the prevention and management of oil spills within Liberia territorial water. The forum held as part of the National Oil Spill Preparedness Initiative brought together major maritime institutions and industry stakeholders to discuss strategies for enhancing operational readiness, response coordination, and environmental protection. The participants formed a technical working group to deliberate on key issues and propose actionable measures toward developing a unified national framework for oil spill prevention and response. At the close of the section, the technical committees outlined plans to draft, validate, and operationalize Liberia's first national oil spill preparedness and response framework. The stakeholders also reaffirmed their collective commitment to support the process through technical collaboration, information sharing, and capacity building. The engagement attracted wide international or institutional participation, including the Liberian National Coast Guard, APN Terminals, Nuetah, Connect, LPRC, Golden Ferroleum, D Mountain, Western Cluster, Equatorial Open, the Society for the Conservation of Nature, and the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority. Liberia has been laying focus on how well we can engage with the diaspora. For the first time, we had a National Diaspora Conference in the US. This December, we are having what we call the Diaspora Homecoming. As a way of making these diaspora approaches a government-wide initiative, the President Pro Tem of the Liberian Senate, Nomi Kanga Lawrence, has set up what she refers to as a Liberian diaspora, as a Senate Diaspora Caucus, in order to create an effective working relationship between both the Senate and Liberians living abroad. The Pro Tem made that announcement on October 30th during the 47th sitting at the second section. Those appointed on our caucus include Ibrahim Dara Dillon, Senator of Monserrato, as chair, and Dillon is already chair of the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. The co-chair is River G County Senator Francis Dopo. Other members of the committee are Senator Daba Papela, Senator Nyan D. Twine, Senator Bodo Kanem, and Senator Amara Tony. Additionally, Lofa County Senator Momo Saros, Sando County Senator Egostin Chie, and Bon County Chairperson or Senator Johnny Faye were also appointed to the committee. Protein Lawrence encouraged the caucus to be very proactive and effective in the coming weeks with a reflection on the essence for which they have been established. For action to set up a diaspora caucus is in fulfillment of a recent promise made at the Liberian Diaspora Conference held in Washington, D.C., where Madam Nyomi Kanga was a participant, or Protein Nyomi Kanga Lawrence was a participant. That's where we'll stop for today. We'll allow my esteemed and distinguished colleague and his team that are already here to take the stage and make a presentation for which he's here. You ready? Come. Somewhere Dr. Nuetah, Alexander Nuetah is the country's Minister of Agriculture. You.
Each time the guy was standing out there, I was standing at the top. Ladies and gentlemen, let me extend sincere thanks and appreciation to the family here. I know MICAT have created this platform for us to be able to talk about the government and bring forward what we do in the sectors we lead. So, from the peer and the team here at MICAT, we want to say thank you for today's opportunity to be talking to you. We also want to acknowledge the contribution of our partners out there. I know agriculture is a broader sector, but we have partners and stakeholders who are making the sector work. We want to say hats out there to our farmers who are there producing for this nation to feed itself and generate income for respective households and the country in general. We want to specifically recognize the efforts of the private sector in driving the economy and our development partners in providing the support that is needed to drive this economy through agriculture. Let me highlight the efforts of the World Bank. I know you read the World Bank report released on the 28th of October. Agriculture was recognized as one of the driving sectors of our economy. While our economy grew by 4%, the sector grew by 3.4%, mainly driven by the rubber sector and rice production in the country. And I take specific interest in rice production because increasing production of rice means we are reducing the importation of rice, which is one of the drags on our economy. We all know that Liberia spends a lot of money to import rice, which is our staple. So when the World Bank announced that we were growing more rice, it brought me joy because the question has been, well, we are growing more rice, we don't see it on the market. But let me tell you, if you don't see Liberian produced rice on the market, it means it's eating in the homes where production is taking place. I know as a guy from the rural community, my family would ask me to buy rice from Monrovia and send to them. I remember my aunt and I had this argument and said, I won't buy rice for you anymore. Because when we were growing up, we saw that we go back to for vacation and bring rice to the rural communities. But today we realize that most of our people in rural communities were buying rice from Monrovia and urban areas, taking to the villages, when the opposite should be happening. So when we took over this position, we try to make it our business to support production of our staple food and empower our rural communities to be self-sufficient. this is the reason why you heard that production of rice has risen. So we want to thank our farmers for making it happen. And we want to appreciate the World Bank specifically through its projects that have made this a reality. Today we've come here to speak about the National Agriculture Fair. Why should we have a national fair? I will backtrack a little bit before I get to the objective. The National Fair is actually as a result of a legislative enactment that empowered the Ministry of Agriculture to have this annual event to be able to recognize the efforts of our farmers who work tirelessly to feed the nation and take care of the families that they themselves raise. So the Executive Board of Liberia mandated that the Ministry of Agriculture hosts this annual event, and after that act was passed in 1956, the Ministry of Agriculture, then Secretary of Agriculture, or Department of Agriculture, had the first national fair on Randa Street, where today we have the Abidjan supermarket. That was where the first took place. Thereafter, there were a series of other activities, but because of our crisis, it kind of was slowed down. And later on along the way, it got mingled with the World Food Day celebration. So in 2006, after the restoration of stability, the Ministry of Agriculture had the first post-war fair in 2006 in Tottenham, Gombe County. And in 2007, another was held in Nuetah County under Minister Dr. Chris Toll. A series of other activities took place under the leadership of Minister Coker. There were fair held. I remember the last one was held in Cary. And in 2024, we had a national fair at the Booker T. Washington Institute in Miami County. But what is the fair intended to achieve? At this fair, we display or showcase what our farmers are doing out there, what they are producing, and those who are into agro-value addition, what are they doing in the sector. This year, we are going to be celebrating the fair under a theme, empowering farmers and enriching the nation. Why did we choose this theme? As you all know, agriculture is the largest sector in this economy, catering to over 70% of our population. Most of those who live in rural communities depend on agriculture or agriculture-related activities to sustain themselves, to send their children to school, to put bread and butter on their tables. So if we empower the farmers by giving them what they need to carry on production, to carry on value addition, of course, we empower them. So this year is intended, the theme for this year even is intended to create that awareness among us as policymakers and government agencies that are responsible for providing the necessary support to agriculture to redouble their efforts. Because if we support our farmers, we are not just supporting individuals, we are building a nation. Because if these farmers generate revenue or income, they are going to support other aspects of the economy that will help this nation to move forward in the way we all want to see it. And this goal or theme is actually aligned with our National Development Plan, or the Abreast Agenda for Inclusive Development. The intent is to create wealth. And the surest means of creating wealth in this country is through the agriculture sector. Because the bulk of our population is. If you heard the World Bank report that I just spoke about, they spoke specifically about rubber, the rubber sector. Rubber is the largest generator of foreign revenue in the economy, in the agriculture sector. Their exports bring in a lot of foreign exchange. So if we work hard and empower our farmers to produce more, we will attract private sector actors who will come and begin to add value that will expand our exports and increase our foreign exchange generating income. We also use this event to be able to promote innovation in our agriculture sector. At the last fair in MICAT County, there were people who brought in innovation to display, and I was shocked at what I saw. And in fact, last year, the president was very happy when he saw that most of the packages he sent out, the basket he sent out, everything that was in there was produced by Liberians and in Liberia. So if we empower our farmers, they are able to do more. So this year, we are going to be meeting in Ganta State in Lima County from 9 to 13 December. 9 to 13 December, we will have 2 venues. We will have an indoor program and we will have an outdoor activity where farmers will be able to display their commodities or produce from their farms. We consider 2025, NAP or NAP 2025, a specific event, an important event for us because it's not just going to be locals. We are going to be honored to have the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, coming to grace this event, this occasion. He's going to be coming here from the 10th to the 12th. So he's going to be gracing the NAV in 2025. We've also got assurance that the president of Tuskegee University in the United States is going to be visiting us along with a delegation from that institution. For those of you who may be aware, Tuskegee has a long history with Liberia's development. In fact, that's the first black university in the United States that was popular in creating consciousness among the black people in that country. Through Liberia's involvement with them, we are able to have today what we call the Booker T. Washington Institute. BWI is an offspring of the relationship between Liberia and Tuskegee University. So when the president expressed interest to come to Liberia to be a part of our NAV, we're very excited because it tells us that Liberia and Tuskegee will get back together and see how we revamp BWI. In fact, the Honorable Minister is a part of BWI, and he's very proud to say he's a product. When he started trying to get my job from me, he was saying, well, I did agriculture at BWI. At the last fair, the man said, well, I'm an agricultural product too. I did at BWI, I graduated with BWI. I went to the University of Liberia, did agriculture. But the emphasis was on BWI because BWI laid firm foundation for most of our people you see here. Technically, they were strong. If you look even the financial sector, our Minister of Finance graduated from BWI. A couple of our officials, they take pride in their association with BWI. We know we have had problems with BWI since the war was not being able to reach the post-war status, but we believe that rejuvenating our engagement with Tuskegee University may see some improvement in what happens at BWI, and the president is quite involved with this engagement. Ganta. Why did we choose Ganta as the venue for NAP 2025? We all know that in Liberia we identified 3 counties as the breadbasket counties of Liberia: Bom, Lofa, and Nima counties. And Nima County happens to be one of the food basket counties. So specifically, we are going to Nima to be able to celebrate with the people, the farmers of Nuetah County. But let me also emphasize that Nuetah is the host of the cocoa seed garden we have in Liberia. That seed garden is indeed in Nuetah County. It is our expectation that during the national fair, His Excellency will be able to go and see what we have there. Before, we could have cocoa planted for 7 years before it starts to bear fruit. But today, we have varieties that can produce just between 2.5 to 3 years. It is because of what we have in Nuetah County and deeply. So we will be happy to have all of you here in Nuetah County to celebrate with Nuetah County and support our farmers there. We want to also use this opportunity to provide you some update of what we have done in the sector over the past year and 8 months. We provided this update to you last year. When we took over, we felt that Liberia had to have a direction for developing the sector. So our first effort was to develop what we call the Liberian Feed Yourself agenda. And that agenda set clear targets for what we want to achieve over the next 5 years. And among our targets was to support domestic rice production to feed ourselves. So we set a target to grow 50,000 hectares of lowland for rice production over 5 years. We are pleased to announce that between 2024 and 2025, we have invested in developing about 10,000 hectares out of the target that we set for 5 years. By the end of 2025, we will have developed 10,220 hectares of lowland for rice production. That's what we have done. We've also been able to invest in the production of cassava. We have said cassava is our second staple food in this country, but also it's critical for income generation, especially among women and the young people. So in our target, we said we want to develop 20,000 hectares of land for cassava production. When we say develop, we are not using the way we've done it before. We are putting our farmers into smaller production units of 25 per unit and developing the land on which to produce. So between 2024 and 2025, we've been able to invest in about 800 hectares. 800 hectares is around 2,000 acres of land. What we do is we form these smaller groups and use farm missionaries to go and lay out the place for them to grow cassava. We are growing cassava on mechanized scale. Last year we did 320 of those, and this year we are doing 480. If you combine them, we have 800 hectares or 2,000 acres. We also want to announce that we've done well with expanding the area of land on cocoa production. In Local Nuetah, one of our projects has supported the cultivation of 10,209 hectares of land for cocoa production. Our target for the NDP for cocoa has been 20,000 hectares, but at this level we've done well. It is our expectation that by 2025 we have done more. We are encouraging investors to come here. For the cassava sector, for example, we'll be able to attract some investors who will be doing the starch factory here to enable our farmers generate more income for themselves. We have also been able to bring in 9 different cassava varieties that our farmers will be using. Initially, we brought in 7 that are being multiplied and carried. But the reason I came late is we were in a steering committee meeting on the Seed for Liberia project, and I just learned from the report that they brought in additional 2 new varieties that will be sent to our farmers for multiplication. 2 or 3 of these varieties are specifically meant for starch production. So the starch content in these varieties are higher. They are there to support the processing facilities that we are trying to build. We want to establish that the government remains committed to supporting our smallholder farmers and encouraging our commercial farmers to scale up production and invest in the sector. We have been working hard to support feeder road development through the Ministry of Agriculture feeder road program. We have on process right now to develop additional 200 kilometers of road in Bong, Nuetah, and Nema. Those roads procurement are on the way, and by next year at this time, they should have been completed. We also want to show that we remain committed to giving our farmers all of the input that are necessary to carry on production. We want to encourage our stakeholders, our partners, to continue to support our smallholder farmers. We want to acknowledge the continued support of the African Development Bank, the World Bank, the European Union, and all bilateral partners who are supporting our farmers in the area of land preparation, supply of inputs, and creating the access to finance that they all have today, some of them have today. Through some of our projects, some of our farmers are able to access small grants to enable them to do what they need to do. So today, we want to call upon you in the media and those of you who are out there to all congregate in Nimba County, Uganda City, on between December 9 and 13 to celebrate our farmers. At that fair, produce will be brought. We expect you, the audience, to purchase from them. The reason our farmers will be leaving the faraway distances to come to Uganda will be not just to display what they have, but to also be able to make some money. So you should prepare yourself, put some money in your pocket, go to Nema County, and purchase from our farmers so we can help create some additional work. We want to thank you say thank you to His Honorable Minister, Limbeck Mafia. I know you do it better. So thank you for creating the avenue for us. We will now hand over to what else we have.
Yes, first, let me see that. Come on,
I thought, okay. Look, I think announcing the date, I thought it was just a lot.
Oh, formation declared.
Oh, all right. To those of our friends in the diaspora, to those of our friends out there in the New York counties, we want to officially launch the National Agricultural Fair 2025 or NAP 2025 today. Activities begin today and continue until the day we begin. I know some of you are on the steering committee, we are raising some funds, but it officially starts on the 9th, and on the 10th, we want to be having the 10th, the 9th and 10th will be our farmers conference or extension conference. What we're going to be doing there will be to bring all of our extension officers across the country to tell us what we're going to be doing over the next year, 2026. And they will also be bringing the farmers together to tell them what we can do as a government. And on the 11th will be the official opening. That official opening will be graced by His Excellency the President, along with our dignitary, that is the FAO Director General and the President of the Tuskegee University of the United States. On the 10th, we will also begin the tour of the farmers display. We'll do it on the 11th, the 12th, and on the 13th, we close. So we want to declare this 2025 NAP officially launched, and we want to invite you to join us in Uganda to celebrate with our farmers and to contribute to their work creation. Thank you.
before you ask your questions to both Dr. Nuetah and myself for the presentations we made, I just wanted to add by giving you some of the benefits of the concession between the government of Liberia and the private institution that will be doing the funding for the road I mentioned. One, our movement along the road corridors that were named will be seamless year-round, meaning we'll be able to travel in those places with ease. And like we said, it's from Monrovia to Waterside, from Monrovia to Rappaspooks, from Monrovia to Buenjema, and then to Medekoma. Second benefit, it will boost agricultural productivity, trade, cross-border commerce. Mainly in the Nuetah belt, you know, it's a farming county, and having the road paved where people can travel straight up to Medekoma will ensure that farmers there will have their produce on the market. Three, it will create more than 1,200 direct and indirect jobs during the construction of the road and the operational period. Sustainability is a major component because the roads will sustain themselves since tolls will be introduced and will be Liberia first. The roads will be designed to withstand flooding. They will have improved drainage system, thus being able to enhance safety. For local empowerment, there will be training and capacity building for Liberian engineers and technicians who will work alongside the project. So those are some of the expected benefits. Now we ask Famuleh to coordinate the question and answer to you.
Thank you, Minister. Listen to the Nuetah, Minister of Information. Please come in to you. Listen to this yourself.
My name is Mopun and I put from inside Liberia. So my question goes to Minister Nuetah. Minister Nuetah, you always enthusiastic measuring the working of the ministry. But the reality is you go in the market, the local products, pepper, they don't want they are expensive. When you ask the women, they say, but things are expensive. You know, they want to mention transportation. What really justify that all of the things that you mentioned, they are reality if the market is still difficult for the ordinary people? Thank you.
My name is Joseph Kepula and I will vote for TFA. The question goes to Mr. Nuetah. So the imported rice is sold for $13.50 in some area for $14.50. And then the locally produced rice is sold for $20 some area and $25 some area. So what are you doing to work with the local farmers so that at least the rice can be reduced so you can find more Liberians going for the locally produced rice than that of the imported rice? Thank you.
And the photo for me for the newspaper, my question to Dr. Nuetah. As an agriculture minister, I want to know, do you have a farm? And every year, how many machines already producing on your farm? And with irrigation.
Thank you. My name is Desmond Wilson, reporter of the Democracy Watch newspaper. Thanks to the Agriculture Minister for the presentation. You know, the upcoming fair is very important, and it's part of the many works that the Minister of Agriculture is doing. But we are concerned about the issue about inclusion. I mean, just in case people from the southeastern region, I didn't hear you talking about those who will be forming part of the celebration from the southeastern region, are there plans to incorporate local farmers from counties like Maryland, Great River, and after the launch of that program, what tangible do we hope to see? So the government spokesperson, the Senator of Bomi County, permitting to bring this to your attention, the Senator of Bomi County, Edwin Snow, have made several claims about statements that have been attributed to his person, talking about defamation of character, reputational damage that have been, talked about by this government through the Ministry of Information, and therefore, he asking the Senate plenary to investigate. If that is not done, he will take lawsuit against the Ministry of Information. Is the ministry concerned about that? If so, would there be legal representation if lawsuit is issued by the ministry, or there is a plan for dialogue?
So, my name is Joseph Salif. I'm from Liberia. My first question goes to the agriculture ministry. The agricultural fair is intended to showcase our local produce, at least for international people to know that Liberians have this agricultural produce. But many a times at these agricultural fair, we usually see some attachment of imported stuff. I'm talking about if somebody is locally making a gari, they put it in a imported, something, which is lack of representation. So I want to know what are the criteria for one farmers to be included into the agricultural fair, that it will be a representation of the locally made product in Nigeria. And to the Minister of Information, Mr. Minister, it is a good thing that the government is going out to ensure that we deal with the world issues in our country. I want to know the company that the government has signed this private partnership with, what's their history in terms of financing roads across Africa? Because we don't want a real occurrence of people marrying each other. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Nares today, current reporter of Villages in Africa. My first question goes to Nuetah. Thank you. You talked about the two main guys here in Nuetah.
Maybe a little bit rapid.
Yeah, so I didn't hear you talking about fish brokers. Why you left the Arab world? Then to Mr. Pia, 2025 is gradually leaving us. And since the introduction of the government town hall, only want to be high. They say that every year will be one time. Thank you.
My name is Joseph Sani, and I report for that TV to the Minister of Agriculture. Most often, there's a concern from farmers, especially those who bring their goods from the farm to market, from the breakfast to Monrovia, the issue of warehouse. And I don't know whether your ministry is so concerned about it, because most often when some of these vehicles break down and we see some of these goods are still on the truck, on the taxi, and when we try to quiz them, and they always been making mention on this issue of warehouse. So can you address that question?
That's question.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. My name is Strokon Flamma, and I work for DN News Liberia. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the Ministry of Information family. Recently, we were granted an opportunity to travel to Egypt for some international training in communication and digital marketing. That is incredible by leadership here. But how be I'd like to put a spin on previous question my colleague asked. The Ministry of Agriculture, since established by an act in the 60s, and you just stated the history of the agriculture fair from the 90s up to now. 1979, there was a race riot. People were concerned about the staple food. Up to that time, led to war and all of that. But what has changed? From if you were to just oppose
how much rice Liberia is importing now, and how much is being produced by our farmers that are being consumed by Liberians across the country. What would you say? How many tons are we talking about both sides? Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Nuetah and his interact. My name is Stephen Sompong, and I report for the Liberia News Agency. So, Honorable Nuetah, you spoke about the fair that we hosted in Nimba County. I did not hear you talk about students emerging in the sector. Are there plans for those students in the agricultural sector to form part of this year's celebration in Nimba?
Okay, so my name is Jerome Kubang, and work for DN News as well. Yeah, so in a long while, is just my first time asking a question on this government, but we used to be a son yet. I'm concerned about the 364 million rural project that you talked about. This government that has on numerous occasions heralded development initiatives in the country. And I'm reading from this statement that the government submitted this agreement since July, and we are in November. It said that it was a secret burst by the Ministry of, by the Liberian Senate Press Bureau, because it seems like since this statement came up, that's when we hear the government talking about it. I stand to be corrected, maybe you can just correct me on that. But we've not heard much about this. Even NTA buses, the yellow machines, and other things have been heard among these very developmental issues. Was it a secret? Why wasn't the government, making out of this about it? The second thing about it is, what type of rules are we going to be, this company going to be constructing? And then the third part of the same issue is that the statement said 5 years. It said 5 years for the construction period, or 5 years for the collection after the construction. Thank you. Yeah.
Before I go to your questions, let me just state something that I didn't say. Then I will go to your questions. One of the things that we have done that maybe I think has not brought the attention of the public is, for the first time in our history, this government, under His Excellency, has been able to set the price for rubber. For those of you who are aware of the rubber industry, it has been the Firestone Plantation Company that has been setting the price for the purchase of rubber from our smallholder farmers out there. But His Excellency set up a committee in August of last year, and that committee began setting the price of rubber this year. So our farmers are receiving prices that are set by our government. What that means is they are now receiving fair prices, and we want to thank all our partners, the processors, including Firestone. When we first set the price, Firestone, agree with us, and they have been working with us and ensuring that the farmers have the fair prices that they need to be able to continue to produce and generate income. So the first person, the question is, even though we are producing more, why is the price of the locally produced food still high on the market? Especially, he mentioned pepper and other vegetables that we grow. But let me tell you, price is influenced by two main factors. I know we are supposed to produce, but there are still constraints. You got to look at the inflationary condition in the country. When there is inflation, the price of the commodities will go up. And the farmers out there themselves are not immune from increases in price, because they sell their produce and have to buy something. So if you are buying pepper for $5 per maybe an ounce, and the pepper producer is going to buy salt in the market, which is not produced locally, you will be thinking, how many of my pepper how much do I have to sell to buy the onion or to buy the salt? So he's trying to make a decision in that line. So I agree with you, we are producing more, but what happens in the market is influenced by global happening. And I always tell our people, Liberia may be blessed to have a US dollars economy, but that US dollar is also a challenge for us because it directly brings in what happens in the US dominated economy. Our cost of living in Liberia is higher than other countries in our sub-region because we are a dollarized economy. That has an impact on us. If you pay $5 for a kilogram of pepper here, $5 US, that $5 US, if you went to Sierra Leone, you might buy it for less than that because they have a lien-dominated economy, a lien economy that has an exchange rate. But we go to the supermarket and pay US dollars, so we always set our price in comparison to what happens in the dollarized economy. So that's one of the reasons why we got an issue. And somebody asked about the price of imported rice being lower than the price of locally grown rice. I can tell you this is the challenge that I personally face every day. And I think it will require national policy making to be able to address this issue. I'm just giving a typical example. Last year, we sat with the farmers and agreed that when you produce a paddy, a 50 kg bag of paddy, we will buy it from you for $16. And if you process that equivalent of that paddy, it will give you a 25 kg bag of rice. That means 50% recovery rate. We set a price at $16. So the processor will buy the paddy and process it in the market. Good for us, for the consumers, the price of imported rice fell from $18 to $13. So those processors who were buying the paddy for $16 had a challenge. You cannot buy $16 and sell for below $16. So it is a challenge. And we all know why the the imported rice is below, the value of it, the price is below the locally produced rice. The cost of production locally is high. If you were to invest in developing 1 hectare of land for rice production, for example, you're going to spend more than $2,000, especially when you begin on a virgin land. You got to dredge, you got to de-storm, you got to lay out the plow, you got to buy the seeds, you got to pay labor at every stage of the production cycle. Those extra costs that you incur will drive the output price. Unlike in the other countries that are exporting to us, they have made investment in this infrastructure a long time ago. So their cost of production are lower than ours. So what we need to do as a government, as a country, is to see how first we can invest in the infrastructure that support local production, and then we prioritize our local producers. It might sound controversial, but if we allow imported rice to come in duty-free, it means we are virtually saying the price of the locally produced rice, the imported rice will be lower because they're not paying anything. Unless we equally provide the same incentive to reduce the cost of production for our local producers, we cannot say, well, they should sell a comparable price because they are all business people too. They are producing to make some money. Somebody asked whether I have a farm and whether I have machines working on the farm. I began my farm before I became this agriculture. I started making farm in 2021. I have my farm in Nuetah, MICAT County. I produce black rice. You have it already. It's hard. No, I'm a farmer. I got passion for agriculture. I do rice production at a smaller scale. I'm not doing mechanized farming. But I grow rice, I raise tilapia and catfish. And I got some cocoa and coffee. I got cocoa and growing, and I got something I'm doing with oranges and growing on my farm. Might give it so I'm a farmer. So I understand what the farmers go through. I understand the challenges that they encounter. So, somebody spoke about whether at the NAC we are going to be considering the southeastern counties. NAC covers the 15 counties. In fact, this year we're going to be very intentional. We want to organize the booths per county. If you came from River Cells, if you came from Grand Crew County, if you came from River G, you will have sections. So you will move from county to see what these counties' competitive advantages are. That will also help us to plan for the future. If we realize that predominantly those are coming from the southeast and bringing fresh product or livestock product or something else, that means that's what they are good at doing. So we will support them. Everybody will be coming. We will pay their transportation. We will select them. It's not that everybody will just jump. Those selected group of farmers from the various counties will be transported, will be taken care of. In as much as we want everybody to come, if you are not among those that we will select and sponsor, we will not be able to sponsor. But we are encouraging you to bring your produce and sell it because we want to take advantage of the fair to display what you can do. So yes, everybody will be there. Yeah. Joseph asks about, you go to the fair and see, Liberian produced materials in foreign materials. That's where value addition plays in, right? Our packaging, we are not producing packaging materials locally. And if you look at global supply chain, no country can do all. Even in the advanced economy, there is a global supply chain for everything. And when we talk about value chain, it's not just one aspect. Everybody plays a role. So if somebody is at the fair selling plantain chips, and plantain is produced here, but the plastic that the chip will be in is not produced here, or may not be produced here. The packaging materials will be imported because we don't have it here. It doesn't mean that we are not producing. So everybody along the value chain plays his or her role. Fishmongers not being invited. We said display. If you were at the last fair, you saw fishery products there. You saw people selling live fish. You saw people selling live animals. So it means everybody in the agriculture sector, no matter what kind of value chain you are associated with, you are invited. So the fishmongers will be there, either selling dry fish or selling live fish from their aquaculture activities across the country. Warehouses are associated with post-harvest handling. Yes, it is a challenge that some of our smallholders or some of our producers may not have the appropriate post-harvest handling facilities, but we have done a lot of work along with some of our projects in ensuring that some of the producers in designated areas have access to warehouses and other cold chains that they can store their produce in. It may not be prominent across the country, it may not be in abundance, but there are efforts being made, and we plan to expand that. In fact, we try at the Gorbachev market to establish something there for those who bring in their fresh fruits and vegetables from the rural communities to store it there after the sale. That way we will be able to reduce the post-harvest losses. Because we know agricultural commodities most of them are perishable. If you do not have the appropriate storage facilities, it becomes a problem. The DMU, Liberia, we talk about what percentage or what quality of our consumption is for importation and what from production. I can tell you, when we were taking over, we did some work and realized that Liberia ate, for example, in 2023, Liberia ate 516,000 metric tons of rice. Out of that amount, more than 350,000 metric tons were imported. That tells us that we were importing over 60% or 65 to 68% of what we ate, rice we ate. A recent study that we did with the support from the Bill Gates Foundation tells us that at the end of 2024, in fact, the result came out in May of this year, we are consuming 49% of the food that we produce here, we consume here, 49% are produced. So that means we have reduced our importation from that level to 51%. That's a gain. If we bring all the production data for this year and come over next year, it might tell you that we will be now importing less than 50%. Hopefully by next year we should be importing less than 50% of the rice we eat. Liberia News Agency, whether we have students at the fair. We're going to have youth farmers. The youth are going to be there. Last year when we were there, we had great innovation from students who came from the United Methodist University. But they were actually from the United Methodist, the campus in Bon County. They came with something that had to do with honey. A kind of a technology that the bro has never seen. Young people, we expect that this time around they will come again. Some students will come with innovations that will help us to expand activities in the sector. So because of what we saw last year with the young people, in our work plan for 2026, we have included specific projects or maybe line of activities to support youth in agriculture. That will allow us to develop 2 youth training centers, the one in Tumutu, Bon County, and the one in Benson here. We want to be able to put our young people to work. We want to ensure that they have the right technology to expand production. We are also going to be working with our vocational and technical colleges to be able to empower our young people who are there ongoing training to be able to become master farmers and take interest in agricultural activities. I think that's why I can go ahead by the question. Yeah.
How many machines are farm contain?
Machine of farm contain? And I just said it's not mechanized, so that means I don't have machine. So I have one power tiller from my farm. I got one rice mill. Then I have one thresher. That's what I can afford to have. So I don't have fleets of machines, no. But I got power tiller, rice mill, and thresher. And rice mill, so that's the machine I have.
Mokolo, why you ask the agriculture minister about the prices of farm produce in the market? His work is to make sure you got the food in the market. So if you go in the market, you'll see better boy, you'll see plenty. You say, what kind of agriculture minister you are? And we can see this thing in the market. If you got concern with the price, you know where to go. But where you supposed to go? Where you have to never break it? Larry the bed. Banana FM, you say, where you working at? If you can tell me, the journalist assigned at the Ministry of Information, and there being one division of the town hall, then whatever journalist you are, the one that informs or the one that misinforms, which one? So we said the town hall will be here quarter of the meeting, the whole year time July only 4. We didn't start it from the beginning of the year. So we met the goal of having it for 2 quarters. Then you can begin power for 9 town hall. The person who asked the Elliot Snow question, I would prefer not to talk about it. Let's wait and see. The road project, you know, something is very interesting. All the things that have been said here before we came about, there are people who want to repeat of those very things. So if there was an Eton, an Igbo map, there should be one now. The PV4 project will not be an Eton or Igbo map. It's a serious project. By 3 o'clock, go to the legislature. The hearing will be on. All the questions you have about the integrity of the company or what, I think you have probably a hearing for. They will answer all those questions. The ratification will take place. Those roads will be built. We have been consistently on record. When President Waka leaves office, he will drive from Monrovia to Hapo on paved road. He will drive from Monrovia to Lofa County on paved road. He will drive from Monrovia to Bowater side, not just on paved roads, as you have had it, on a 4-lane road with toll gates. Of course, if you travel lately on the Rabafi Highway, you know that sooner or later, the 4-lane road leading from here to the airport will be completed. Consistently and historically, the road has been there, but it's always been there as we speak. Based on the commitment that was made by LUC, the poles have been planted. So before Christmas, when you're driving from the airport to Monrovia, you wouldn't have to use the headlight of your car. But the street light will provide you enough electricity so that you wouldn't need a light from your car. That's the Liberia we have been. Look, guys. Are you not seeing, not opening your eyes? I live in Broadville. For the past 35 to 40 years, Broadville has seen electricity for the first time. I made a travel the other day when I came back last week. I drove into the community with street lights all over. I told you that. As of yesterday, they were deploying meters on our homes. And the horses in that place that have not seen current for 35 to 40 years will have access to electricity. The last time we provide you update, LEC activity is ongoing in 9 counties where they've been able to restore power. This country is on a transformational journey. And you members of the press are very crucial to the journey we are taking. Promote it. Spare us of the negativity. Because you are citizens first before being journalists. If the country does not go anywhere, you too will not advance. So let's work together to see the great Liberia we want to have. If there were people here yesterday who failed, and therefore you think the other people that are coming should fail, you want to keep the country backward. That's the use of your vote. You stand in the line, the rain beats you, the sun beats you, just to vote. And vote after vote, you got leaders who do not deliver. Now that you have one in President Waka, let's support him. Let's work with him. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.